organization is to insist that students actually write an outline. If they don't write an outline, they can go off in rambling directions. And this is one of the problems we see most frequently. Students know that they have only 25 minutes, and so they want to write as much as possible. But in trying to write as much as possible, they actually don't make their point in a clear and concise way. So we insist you must write an outline. This lends itself to great classroom assignments because rather than have students write full essays, you have the opportunity to have them outline their argument with a thesis and what examples they're going to use. This can make a teacher's life much, much easier because you can start to get a sense of whether or not students can formulate strong arguments. When we talk about organization and how the essay itself should be structured, we're looking at a traditional 4-paragraph essay. The introduction. The introduction needs to say which side you're going to take, state your thesis, and what examples a student plans to use. Why is this important? You need to, at the outset, prove to the readers that you have a plan. When we say you have a plan, that means that the intro highlighting the 2 examples proves that you're not just going to argue by the seat of your pants, but that you're in fact going to argue a particular point, a thesis, with particular examples, whatever examples we've chosen before from our pre-existing group of 5. The introduction can be 3 to 5 sentences and also should include things like a definition of terms. The example that we've been using, are people always motivated by selfish desires? At the outset, the word selfish can be described. Are we referring to power? Are we referring to money? Are we referring to fame? This can be defined in the opening paragraph. The first paragraph after the introduction is your example. It's not just a discussion of your example, but why it proves the point. Students usually make one of 2 mistakes. They argue by simply stating, World War II proves my point. That is not the way to argue. You need to be able to offer some background information. You need to be able to offer me some details. So when we're talking about the examples and how you're going to use them, we insist that you provide a background. The who, the what, the when, and the where. This is something that needs to be concrete. Back to the discussion earlier in these lessons, we had highlighted how important it is to go in with pre-existing examples. Knowing facts means that you can open your discussion with things that you actually know about. But simply stating the facts doesn't actually prove the entire point. You then need to tie it with its relevance back to how it proves the thesis that you're arguing. You need to be specific. If you're trying to come up with a sense of just how long these pieces should be, what you're really thinking to yourself is that the 3 to 5 sentences you might need to explain your example need to be followed by 1 or 2 sentences tying it back to your original thesis. You have to do this for 2 example paragraphs. You can't get away with just 1 really strong example. At the end of your 2 example paragraphs, students should attempt to write a conclusion. This is a summary of what you've said before. Generally speaking, this does not have to be long, 2 or 3 sentences restating your argument. At the same time, more sophisticated writers might be able to offer what we refer to as a concessionary argument. A concessionary argument allows for the fact that the other side has a point too. So, as an example, you might start your conclusion with, while some people are motivated by selfish desires, for instance, Adolf Hitler's invasion of Poland, the truly great people and the majority of people in the world are actually motivated by unselfish desires. Hence the 2 examples that I have offered, or the 2 examples argued herein, the 2 examples argued above, Dr. Martin Luther King and Gandhi. You can't just write the other side has a point without issuing some kind of smackdown that says, I've made the real argument that's better than the other side. So, to summarize, we need to make sure that students actually make an outline. We need to make sure that they write a traditional 4-paragraph essay with an introduction stating the thesis and the examples. And you need to then explain the examples in separate paragraphs with wrap-up sentences at the end of each paragraph tying it back to the thesis. The conclusion, the most straightforward one, restates the value of your argument. The more sophisticated conclusion might allow with a sentence or 2 that the other side has a point, but in fact, your point is the stronger one to make.